Have you been in the middle of writing your book and you found yourself stuck? Like maybe you were in a flow for quite a while and then you finally come back to it and you realize you can't really think of what to write. Or maybe you finally gotten the courage to start writing, like from scratch. You finally decided, okay, enough people have told me I need to write a book, or I've been carrying this book in me for long enough. Now I'm deciding to write it for real. But then the blank page is staring at you and you're staring back at it with the deer in the headlights look. In today's episode, I've got you covered. I'm going to talk about the 5 core causes of writer's block, and I do put that in quotes on purpose. The 5 core causes of writer's block, and how to either prevent it from happening at all or how to overcome it. Stay tuned. Good evening and happy Wednesday, my winners and goal getters. This is Melissa T, the procrastination bully. Welcome to another episode of the Getting the Win show, where I help women who have navigated a trauma or transition turn that into a tool of transformation through a book. I help you transform that trauma or transition into a book, okay? And in today's episode, I talk about what the most common problem is for those who have begun writing, which is what is infamously known as writer's block, okay? You're in the middle of the thing, you've started writing, and then you come back to it, but either it feels like the passion is gone or you're not sure how to get back into the flow, because the start of a thing is always the most difficult. That is the inertia. Like that inertia is always the toughest part. So I got you. In this episode, we're going to cover that. Okay. And then, as I mentioned earlier, for you, you may be starting from scratch, but you're looking at the blank page and you're like, oh no, where do I start? I got you. First, I want to offer you a reframe for that blank page. We have in our society villainized or vilified. We in our society have vilified the blank page, right? We look at it with dread, probably from our school experience, if we're being real, right? Our academic experiences where we had to write papers and the papers had to be a certain length of words that we could not come up with, or at least we told ourselves we couldn't come up with. So writing felt like a slog, right? Here's the reframe I'm proposing for you today. The blank page is not your villain. It is not something that is intended to work against you. It is not intended to mock you. It is not intended to shame you at your lack of creativity or lack of originality or lack of expression, because writing for you may not be a strong suit. You might be better at talking, and that's fine. The blank page is actually your collaborator. Your blank page is your canvas. It is that chill friend that is there to support you and is just waiting for you to give it whatever you want. Your blank page is going to be the thing that makes your ideas, your thoughts real. It is going to bring everything out of your mind into tangible physical reality. When you think about it like that, as your supernatural collaborator that brings things from the mind and from the supernatural realm into the physical, that makes the blank page pretty darn powerful. It's collaborating with you. It's not your enemy, because whatever you put on it, it's on it. It's not going to alter what you put on it. It's not going to make any new recommendations. There are software apps that do that, but the blank page itself isn't going to do that. It's just waiting for you to tell it what you want to tell it. It is your collaborator. The blank page is your friend, right? So let's start with that reframe. Don't dread the blank page when you see it. See the blank page as an invitation. Like, hey, we read, what we doing? Like, I'm ready to make this thing real. Whatever you want to say, whatever you're thinking, I'm ready to make it real for you. For you. That is the blank page, okay? Now, let's get into these 5 core causes in terms of writer's block and what to do instead, or how to view it instead, okay? The solutions. Usually, number one, and this is the reason why I had writer's block in quotes, writer's block is usually a misdiagnosis. There's usually something else going on. There's usually either fear, shame, exhaustion, or some form of perfectionism. Does that resonate with you? Either fear, shame, exhaustion, or perfectionism. The fear I get, especially if you're starting from scratch, because that's like, okay, what if I say something wrong? What if I say something that will offend somebody? What if I put this information on the page, but I don't yet know what I'm talking about? Or I'll put the information on the page, know what I'm talking about, but the people reading it will think I don't know what I'm talking about. That last question combines fear and shame. Okay? Here's the thing. Your experience is unique to you. You know what you know. Your lessons, your conclusions are yours specifically. Nobody experiences a thing identically. We see that all the time with siblings, right? Two people, or how many ever siblings, grew up in the same household with the same two parents, completely different experiences. Completely different. Because each individual is different. Each person has their own perspective. You have your own perspective on a situation. You have your own perspective on the research that you're doing. Because whatever data you take in, you are then going to analyze based on your experiences. You're going to draw conclusions based on your previous experiences, even with the raw data in front of you. Okay? So let's banish that fear that you're going to sound like you don't know what you're talking about, or that people will view you as an imposter. The only way you can be an imposter is if you're actually an imposter, if you're actually behaving in a way that is not true to who you are. I heard something recently from Dr. Myron Golden that was that was amazing. He heard it from an old pastor mentor of his, and this was back when Dr. Golden was like new to the preaching world. He was in his early 20s, so he was young, up and comer, trying to do it like the greats do, right? He was mimicking the famous ones, the well-known ones, and the ones that meant the most to him. The older pastor mentor said to him, ain't nobody there. Like, you can't expect people to hear you if there's nobody there. Meaning, he himself wasn't there because he wasn't speaking in the way that was natural to himself. He was mimicking the greats. And the older pastor was saying, the greats ain't there. It's you that's standing there. But if you're trying to mimic somebody that's not there, you're not speaking in your real voice, then nobody's there, which means the people that are listening aren't going to resonate with what you're saying. So preach like you. So for you specifically, in your book, write like you. Tell your stories like you, because it's your story. The experiences you had in your life are yours. Nobody can accuse you of not knowing what you're talking about, because your experiences and your conclusions were inhabited by you. You experienced them. You know exactly what you're talking about. What the research does is provide clarity and hard, tangible data to back up your point, to back up your experiences, so that the reader can know, oh, she wasn't tripping. Like, this actually is real. Okay? So that speaks to the fear, the imposter syndrome. In terms of the shame of what you experienced, the research can also help that, because you'll see that you are not alone. You're not the only person that experienced that trauma or went through the transition the way you did. There are other people who have similar experiences, not identical, but similar. Okay? In terms of exhaustion, I get that. Trust me, I get it. You're a wife, you're a mom, perhaps you're a single mom. That's even more exhaustion. You're required to be exceptional on the job. You're expected to be. Just by being a woman, never mind a woman of color, if you're watching this as a woman of color. That's a whole other dynamic that I won't even get into in this episode. So you're exhausted. You're fulfilling all of the demands with excellence, with your family, with your job, in your side hustle or your business. If you're an entrepreneur and you've got something going on the side in addition to your 9 to 5, you're running on all cylinders, burning the candle at both ends. But you finally feel moved to write this book. I get it. It can be exhausting. If you're choosing to write, the cheat code for this is to voice record. You can voice record because you talk every day. The average person speaks 150 words a minute. Voice record for 10. That's 1,500 words. 10 minutes is a bathroom break. 10 minutes is a lunch break, if you take one. If you commute, you definitely have time. Use the time in the car to voice record. One of the parts of the F5 framework that I teach is in the foundation step, which I call the story inventory, where you write down a bulleted list of all the key stories in your life that are relevant to the lesson, the core thesis, the core lesson you're teaching in the book, what your book is about. All the relevant stories in your life that have to do with that core point that your book is covering. When you get that bulleted list, keep the bulleted list in your phone. Put your story inventory in your phone. That way, when you're in your car, you bring up like one of those bullet points, one of those stories, bring up your voice recording app and just speak into the phone. Speak out that whole story as you remember it to the best of your ability. That puts you in a flow. Then once you're back at your computer or your tablet, whatever your bigger screen is, then you can dictate. Have Microsoft Word, Google Docs, whatever word processor you use. If you use Apple, maybe Pages. They all have a dictate function, some kind of voice record function. Turn on that little microphone, cue the recording up on your phone that you did in the car, press play, it populates the page. That open canvas, that blank page that is your best friend, is now helping you make the words that were in your head a tangible physical reality. If this is making sense, put that in the comments. All right. So fear, shame, exhaustion, or perfectionism. Let's talk about this last one. I mentioned before about the importance of doing the research. Drop stats in your book. That way it doesn't feel like just you giving your opinion. Because some people will attack that simply because they can. Whether they believe you or not, some people will do that simply because they can. Nobody can argue with stats. Nobody. It's raw data. It's in black and white. Studies. You know what I mean? That is empirical evidence. So if you're worried about whether or not your point is concrete enough, whether or not you know what you're talking about, whether or not you have enough research to back up your stuff, here's what I would say. Use your AI tools to do the research for whatever portion of your book has you stuck. And then give yourself no more than 48 hours. If you're a perfectionist and you like to double, triple, quadruple check stuff, no more than 2 days. Cut it off at 2 days. Because if you're like me and you like to double, triple, quadruple check stuff, you have to give yourself a deadline for your research or you'll keep researching. You'll never get back to the manuscript. Give yourself a 48-hour deadline. Tell somebody else that you trust that you're giving yourself that deadline. So that when the deadline comes, they can check with you and be like, are you writing? Or are you still researching? And that way, if you are still researching, they can draw the line for you. Because, hey, some of us, that may not be our strong suit. We may need somebody else to step in and be like, no, you done. You done. Case in point, my lovely sister Jessica Holly, she's been on the show quite often. That was what was happening with her with Everybody Can't Go. Which, by the way, as of this recording, she's having a a launch party tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. So, quick plug, go over to Everybody Can Go on YouTube at Everybody Can Go at 7 p.m. Eastern to tune into her launch party for that very book, Everybody Can't Go. She had hired me to edit the book. I had edited the thing and she was still writing. She still wanted to add stuff to it. I told her, no, that can be content for another book. Don't add to this one. I've already started. And I wasn't doing that to be difficult because I was editing it. It's not like I didn't want the additional challenge, but I didn't want her to further second guess what she already had in the book. The book was already incredibly valuable. I didn't want her to add to that to then muddy the message. So sometimes you may need an outside voice to draw the line, and that's all right. Okay? So if perfectionism is your thing, if the perfectionism you're using is for research, give yourself 48 hours and then tell somebody, an accountability partner, so that they can hold you to it. If your perfectionism is coming from the quality of your stories, go back to your story inventory, which is why I always share with authors to do that. Write your story inventory. If the story that you have in the chapter you feel no longer suits it, don't erase, copy paste. I learned that from Marie Forleo. Pull it out of the manuscript if you need to and paste it someplace else, another Google Docs, like a spare document so you don't lose it. And then go back to your story inventory. If you have a story that's more relevant, then fine, add it. But even then, still give yourself the 48-hour deadline. And again, talk to that accountability partner. That way they can hold you to the deadline. Okay? Because all of what I'm talking about, fear, shame, exhaustion, perfectionism, all of these things are also tools of procrastination. Remember what I'm called, the procrastination bully. We bully in the procrastination. Okay? So if it's perfectionism over your data, 48 hours to get the data you need. And with these AI tools, you can get it in minutes. In minutes. You can use perplexity.ai. You can use Gemini, because Google Gemini is connected to Google, which is the world's biggest search engine, right? It's the most effective search engine. So when it comes to AI searches, Google Gemini is still very good about that. Perplexity.ai is also very effective with that. Okay? Use one of those two tools. You can use ChatGPT. Chat is not as proficient with research as Gemini and Perplexity are. So you can use any one of those two, okay? If it's the stories you want to include, like I said, if you haven't drafted your story inventory already, come up with that bulleted list of stories from your own life. And if that's a challenge, if you need help coming up with that, use an AI tool like either ChatGPT or Claude. Let whichever tool it is, let the tool know what your book is about. Make sure the tool knows about you, who you are, what your goal is, who your target reader is. And then in the chat now, have the AI tool ask you questions about the key stories in your life. Because maybe ideation is not your strong suit, but the human mind is a problem-solving mechanism. We love to answer questions, especially open-ended ones. Let the AI tool ask you those questions. You'll be able to flesh it out. And again, give yourself 48 hours to do that too. Okay? But either way, these are ways that you can get back into a flow, get the ball rolling. Okay? These can free you up. So that's all of that was number one. Writer's block is a misdiagnosis. It's usually something else. Okay? All right. The writer's block is a symptom. So let's name that real issue, whether it's fear, shame, exhaustion, perfectionism, or something else, and address what the real thing is. All right? It's never a creativity problem. You are made in the likeness and image of God. God is a creator. We as human beings are creative. It's never a creativity problem. You're full of amazing things. You're full of inspiration. All right? You are a resource because you are a reflection of the source. I'll say that again. You are a resource because you are a reflection of the source. You were created in the likeness and image of the source. So you are a resource. The book you're creating will be a resource. All right? Now, number 2, because writer's block can also, coming back to that point of perfectionism, writer's block can also be coming from you wondering how your writing looks or sounds, like the quality of the writing. Here's number 2 for you. Give yourself permission to write badly. Remember, this is the first draft. It won't be your only draft. This first draft is not the one that's going to get published. Your first draft does not have to be perfect. It just has to be. Okay? It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be. It has to exist. Us as editors, you can't hire us to edit something that doesn't exist. We got to have what to look at. We have to have what to clean up. Like, that's literally our job. Our job is to clean up your writing. Let us do our job. Your job is to get all of your thoughts and ideas concerning this main topic that your book is about on the pages. Let's get that done first. Then we can clean stuff up. Okay? So give yourself permission to write badly, right? Number 3, the other thing that could possibly be causing the writer's block. It may not be a motivation problem. It's definitely not a laziness issue. It could be a nervous system problem, particularly on the topic of your trauma or the deeper parts of the transition that you're writing about. The human mind doesn't know the difference between a memory and reality. It just sees the thing. So your body may be in fight or flight or freeze mode once you get to talking about that part of your life's journey. So the key there, the solution there, is to regulate. Bring your nervous system back down. You can do this several ways. The fastest is with box breathing. So 4 seconds in, that's inhaling. Hold for 4 seconds. 4 seconds out, that's exhale. Hold for 4 seconds. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Okay? Box breathing. 6 deep breaths always resets your nervous system. Box breathing lowers your heart rate, helps your nervous system to understand you're okay. That's one tool, okay? Another tool you can use is to hug yourself. Just take a pause from your writing and hug yourself. Because whether you're hugging yourself or somebody else is hugging you, your body doesn't particularly care. It just wants to be held. Because when you're being held, you're telling your body that it's safe. A hug is close and intimate contact with someone you trust, so it releases oxytocin. So when you hug yourself in that moment, you're telling yourself, you're telling your nervous system, you're okay. You are safe. You are loved. Your body will calm down. Your heart rate will go down. Once you regulate, do number 3 now, which is what I call priming. Tell your subconscious mind, say this out loud so your outer ear can hear it. And with us as human beings, we more readily believe what we hear ourselves say than what we hear other people say about us. We more readily trust ourselves. Okay? So tell yourself out loud, okay, you're doing all right. Say your name. You are okay. We are okay. We're revisiting this memory. We're not reliving it. We're not stuck there. It already happened. We're just going back to it now to look specifically for lessons that we can teach our reader. We're looking for red flags that we ignored. We're looking for the lessons that came in hindsight after it happened. We're looking for how we felt specifically in the moment. But we're looking for the language of how we felt in the moment. We're not going back there to re-feel what we felt in the moment. We're just revisiting so we can get the language for how we felt in the moment as we experienced it. You prime your subconscious and give your subconscious permission to come out of it. If it gets too difficult, it's fine. We'll come out of it and revisit it at a later time. Here's the truth of the matter. You may not do that, but if you give your subconscious mind permission to withdraw, your body will be calmer. Okay? So firstly, regulate your nervous system, either with the box breathing or the hugging or both. You can do both, and it can make a world of difference. And then lastly, you prime your subconscious. Okay? That can help you overcome the nervous system issue. Once you're back to regulated, then you can think straight again. Like you're back in the prefrontal cortex. As long as you're tense, as long as you're nervous, you're back here. You're in the reptilian brain. You're in the survival part of your brain. As long as you're back here in the prefrontal cortex with logic, then we can move forward, right? So that's number 3. It might be a nervous system problem, not a motivational problem, all right? Here's number 4, and this is similar to what you heard me say about priming the subconscious too. But cheat code number 4 is, if this particular thing is hard to talk about, go around it. Talk about something around it. Meaning, if you're writing your book in chronological order, this trauma is the thing you need to be writing about right now, go to the thing that follows. What happens after you go through the trauma or after you go through the transition? And perhaps write about that. Or vice versa, go to before the trauma happened, if you haven't written that part yet. So perhaps in this particular writing session, you don't confront the thing at all. Write around it. Because remember, the purpose of this episode is to get you to write on the page. We're getting words on the page so that your writer's block can get up out of here. Because as we mentioned, it's technically not a block. It could be a nervous system issue. It can be a fear issue, a shame issue, an exhaustion issue, or a perfectionism issue. Okay? The goal is to get you in flow first, get you through the initial inertia. So maybe don't write the toughest part first. Go around it. Either whatever comes before it or what comes after it. But go around it. That's a cheat code for you. And then, number 5, change the way that you're writing. Sometimes the modality, the actual technique that you're using, can be the issue. Familiarity breeds contempt. After a while, the human mind gets bored. If you've been voice recording this whole time and maybe you just don't feel like doing that, this time type or handwrite. Like, employ a journal, employ a notebook. Even the switching of the physical modality can get the mind flowing, because the mind loves novelty. The human mind loves newness. It loves things that are different. Pattern interrupts are a powerful cheat code in general, not just in writing. So interrupt your pattern. That number 5 block could just be the sameness of it all. So just switch your pattern up. If you've been typing this whole time, voice record. That can switch it up. If you've been voice recording this whole time, type. If you've been doing either one of those this whole time, handwrite. Use a journal. Use a journal. But switching the modality can get the juices flowing because your mind is like, oh, this is something different. It calls upon the creativity. Once you're in a flow, you can get back to your regularly scheduled programming because now you have words on the page, whether that's a journal page or on the digital page. But getting past the initial inertia is the goal here, because that's all writer's block is. It's just the initial inertia, which applies to anything that we do. Anything. You don't like doing the dishes and you got a sink full of dishes to do? There's an initial inertia there. There's a resistance. You don't want to do them. Pattern interrupt. Bring your phone. If you normally just wash the dishes with no background anything, play something. Put on your favorite type of music. If you like comedy, put on your favorite comedian if they have a YouTube clip or something. That can make all the difference in the world. You got laundry to do and you cannot avoid the laundry again. Like this time you have to do it because the hamper is puking. Put something on. Put on a podcast. Put on something that's going to run long, that can be in the background as you're working, that can take your mind off the minutia of the folding of the clothes or of the loading up of the machines. That's all right. The mind just needs a little bit of novelty to get you through the initial resistance so you can start. Let me know if these 5 that I talked about today have been beneficial for you. Put the one that resonates the most with you in the comments that you're going to start and apply today. I want to hear about that. And I want to be able to hold you accountable. Like, let's keep the process going. Let's get this book done. If this was beneficial to you, I've got another episode here that will be beneficial to you as well. So be sure to check that out. And subscribe if you haven't yet here on YouTube at Getting the Win for more tips and information on the world of writing and self-publishing books. Let's get this book created. In the meantime, in between time, I am Melissa T, the Procrastination Bully, and your hashtag author bestie. Have a great and productive rest of your Wednesday and a great and productive rest of your week. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow night, Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern for my live stream, where I will be unpacking your writer's block live. Like, if you're experiencing writer's block and maybe you watched this episode and didn't have time to work on your book today, Wednesday, bring your writer's block tomorrow night, Thursday, 7 p.m. I'll see you back right here and I will coach you through it live. All right. In the meantime, in between time, have a great rest of your day. Peace.